From KG making preps to pros mainstream, to Steph changing the way basketball is played completely, here are the most iconic ballers who literally changed the game. Starting off with the one and only Allen Iverson. When you say the word authentic, only one player should ever come to mind, and that's Allen Iverson. Ivy was basically the player everyone dreamed of becoming. In fact, I'd even say he was the perfect representation of street basketball. From the arm sleeve to tattoos, we'd seen other players with all that, but for someone to bring drip to the NBA and then also dominate the game, nah, that was unheard of. Chris Paul said back in 2016 that no one had a bigger effect on NBA culture more than Allen Iverson. Rowan Kavner of the Clippers added that AI started that culture and remains the biggest influence in the NBA. I won't be disagreeing with that at all. You think the word drip is common now, right? Well, he was the one who began it all. The NBA had to put a dress code in place because AI brought hip-hop to the big leagues. Maybe the pre-game fashion shows that we're used to seeing nowadays wouldn't have happened if not for Bubba Chucks. He was so authentic and so original that you could copy his hairstyle, his drip, but not those deadly crossovers, which even got Michael Jordan's ankles in a twist. Another player from the same era that changed the game forever was the one and only Kevin Garnett. The two couldn't be more different in the way they played the game, but KG was just as much of an influence as Iverson, if not more, but in a completely opposite manner. Garnett's the reason the preps to pros pathway became mainstream. Straight out of high school to the NBA, he wasn't just an anomaly in the NBA, he was a must-watch, an impossible combination of size and skill. The 6'11" forward was at least 15 years ahead of his time. In fact, he remains one of only two players ever to come up with 20,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 5,000 assists, and 2,000 blocks. Sure, we may not have seen an influx of KGs since he came along, but the game definitely changed with Garnett's arrival, with the need of more versatility becoming more and more obvious. Not to forget, he inked the largest contract in NBA history up until that time, too, with that $126 million deal over 6 years. The reason that doesn't feel like too much money is also because of KG changing the sport for good. A year after KG, the Lakers drafted one of the most influential players of all time, Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan and LeBron James might be the top contenders when it comes to the GOAT debate, but never has the entire NBA been reunited behind a player like they were behind Kobe Bryant. There wasn't another player you'd give the ball to in the final second of the game, or someone you'd back to get a stoppage at the other end. In the final second, Kobe was everything a young star would want to be. The kind of influence Kobe had over the franchise was similar, probably only to Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the 90s. And that's iconic when you think about the player Kobe always wanted to emulate. Kobe was so influential that he got both Phil Jackson and Shaquille O'Neal shipped out of town. And he hadn't even re-signed with the Lakers in that season, and so the Clippers thought they were getting Kobe, and they threw their future out of the window. Thankfully, Kobe remained a Laker, while the Clippers remained the Clippers. In many ways, Kobe was the first real athlete to take his fame well beyond the North American market, and the reception he received in China during the 2008 Olympics should tell you all you need to know about how he changed the game entirely. Then came the 1998 NBA draft, and that gave us a player who completely revolutionized the position he played. Any guesses? Yep, Dirk Nowitzki. In fact, I don't think there are many other players who changed a specific position more than Dirk did. The former MVP remains one of the greatest players to play the sport, and it was all possible thanks to Holger Geschwinde, Nowitzki's coach. He introduced an angle that would go on to become impossible to defend against, and it was built on the approach of the higher the arc, the better. Before Nowitzki, power forwards would bang down low, and the last place they wanted to be was on the perimeter defending. Yet with Dirk's arrival, all that changed. Everyone wanted to shoot it from the deep like him, and you can say that in a way, Nowitzki was one of the first players to genuinely spread the floor. But he wasn't the only revolutionary in the 1998 draft, because that same draft also gave us Vince Carter, by far the greatest dunker the NBA has ever seen. Before his injuries and well before his trade demands, Carter was easily the biggest superstar in the NBA. Sure, Shaq was killing it during that time in Los Angeles, but Carter was effective in an entirely different way. His impact went well beyond the NBA as he got international recognition for his unearthly dunks. In fact, he's the reason Toronto was put on the NBA map forever. Who can possibly forget that dunk against Frederick Weiss? The time he jumped over the 7-footer's head. Carter was famous from the first year he arrived in the NBA, and he too realized that he didn't need to follow in the footsteps of someone like MJ to blaze his own trail. He could be special in his own way, and by God he was. But there was someone who wanted to follow the same trail as Jordan and take it further: the King LeBron James. He's the reason every single rookie is expected to dominate the league from his first game. And it's not like he himself had it easy. No freaking way. No one's ever had the burden of expectations more than LeBron James. And when all is said and done, the fact is he exceeded all of them. How many players can genuinely say that? Following KG's trail of preps to pros, LeBron took the game to an entirely different level altogether. From making the front cover of Sports Illustrated magazine to going past the all-time scoring record in the NBA, LeBron James really is one of a kind. And on the court, who can possibly rival his collection of 10 NBA finals with teams that had no right to even make it out of the first round? The longevity is something that even the all-time greats couldn't rival. Ultimately, there's not going to be another LeBron, because who could possibly step into those shoes and achieve everything there is to achieve without even a single scandal? Like Charles Barkley said, LeBron has the best story in sporting history, and you can say that again. But at least LeBron always looked like a basketball player, right? What do you have to say about Steph Curry, a player who most wouldn't even recognize if he was shopping in a supermarket, but also a player who has 4 rings to his name already, and he's not done yet. He's the reason every single team in the NBA realized that they needed a 3-point shooter. He's the reason defenders had to ditch the conventional way of defending, because how do you stop someone who can score 3 points on every offense without even getting an and one? Pull-up triples, deep 3 balls. These were things that defenses were more than comfortable in allowing, but the chef dominated so much that he won 2 MVPs and now 4 rings. And somewhere between all that, the rest of the league realized that something had to change. You could either come up with a way of stopping this barrage of shots that were good from beyond the arc, or you could go down the route of imitation being the sincerest form of flattery. Every team having a 3-point shooter on their roster says that they went down the imitation route, because there really is no way of stopping this madness. That's all I have on the most iconic ballers who literally changed the game.